affective instability, man, yeah. When I first start with folks, I see this a lot. And it's this intense episodic dysphoria, irritability, the anxiety usually lasts a few hours and only rarely more than a few days. And this comes from the DSM. Now, we're going to talk more about this today because this is pretty severely overlapped with a lot of comorbid conditions. So we got to kind of put a pin in this. All right. You know, that episodic dysphoria, irritability. We're going to talk about what are called depressive spirals, which are different than depressive episodes. So we really want to be sure that we're making that distinction. But this particular criteria, I absolutely hate it because I think that it adds so much to the confusion, because this can often originate from other comorbid conditions as opposed to the BPD. And it depends on which we're going to talk about in a minute, comorbid conditions are present, which can determine our approach to treatment so that we can increase the probability of positive and successful outcome. All right. That's a mouthful to say. It is. Inappropriate, intense anger or difficulty controlling anger. Now, this, of course, I think that we can absolutely attach it to that impulsivity, other types of issues. When we talk about inappropriate, typically the inappropriate is the setting. I can tell you just these are just kind of the average things that I'll mention. So in my past, I had a client when she was ready to start treatment, she would kick the door, and not like a lightly kick. You know, it was just, I mean, I thought she was going to kick the door in, and she would kick it and kick it and kick it, right? And other people that were in the waiting room would be very like disturbed by that. They're waiting to see other mental health providers. This is about like 15, 8, oh my God, like 18 years ago. But she would just kick at this door, kick it. And oh man. So, you know, so her and I, in our discussion, we talked about kicking the door is inappropriate. Do not kick the door when you're ready to start session. If I cannot make it, I will always let you know. If I'm here, which 99.9% of the time I expect to be here, I will open the door when our session is scheduled to begin. We start on time and end on time. And that isn't just for the client, by the way. If you work with folks along the BPD spectrum, that goes for you. All of my clients find it annoying, but they love it that I am oddly punctual 99.9% of the time. I don't know. I just am. I don't know why. That's just how I work. But stuff happens, right? So they have to understand that variability. Anyway, so with her, so I said, okay, right, open the door. So stop kicking the door. Can we agree to stop kicking the door? Mm-hmm. What do you think she did the next session? Do you think she was like, oh, I'm just going to wait outside? Nope. She started kicking the door. Now, there has to be consequences to particular behavior. So what we did for the next session is that we talked about what kicking the door meant. And she really hated talking about what kicking the door meant. But we had to talk about it because there's more appropriate ways to do it. Anyway, making an exceptionally long story short, so we settled on that if you kick the door to start session, I'm not going to see you. Of course, she didn't believe that. Then she kicked the door. Then I said that we were going to skip session. Then she went and she hurt herself. Then she was on suicide watch. Then we processed that. And then it happened a few more times. And eventually she stopped kicking the door. But I don't think that she stopped kicking the door because of the punitive consequence. I don't. I think that's an oversimplification. I think that we got to the sense that she was very attached to me. She was very worried that I wasn't going to know she was there, that I wasn't going to pay attention to her, that other people were more important than her, so on and so forth. And her kicking the door was her way of being demonstrative, which she had a tendency to be, and not just by kicking the door, but in a lot of other ways. So then it was her way to communicate, you know, help me and see me, help me and see me. Now we know it's inappropriate. We're not surprised by that, but she was able to adjust it, and we were able to find more appropriate ways of managing that. I've had clients spit on me. I've had clients throw chairs at me. So kind of like, you know, all over the gap. I had a picture drawn of me once with crayons. Wasn't good. I didn't save that picture. It was not pretty. I don't look good in crayon. I just don't. Okay. So obviously this is one of those criteria. And transient stress-related paranoid ideation or severe dissociative symptoms. Now, this is criteria number 9. And criteria number 9 really taps into the brilliance of Marsha Linehan, because Dr. Linehan was aware that if you are working with an individual with a fragile sense of self, that when you start getting to what we're going to call core content, when you're getting to the root of the issue, when you're getting to more salient psychological issues, the individual who starts to dissociate, it's hard to work with someone like that. So what we need to do is we need to do mindfulness first. And that's one of the brilliance. Like if you've read her book and books, you'll see, I would love to know how many times she uses mindfulness in her books. I can't even imagine how many times. Mindfulness, you should start with mindfulness. Mindfulness should start first. At this point, mindfulness should be utilized. Mindfulness. I mean, there's a reason why it's there, and it's really brilliant, because my clients who have a tendency to do this, I tell them, we've got to get you grounded first, because we're not going to dive into the past, because a lot of times, because these folks tend to be treatment seeking, they're ready to get in. I want to get in there. I want to get this thing gone. I want to get it done. How can I do it? Fast, fast, fast. It's not going to be fast, fast, fast. My clients, I see them for an average of 4 to 6 years. That's average. So it depends on the severity, so on and so forth. A lot of factors that are involved in that. But once we know there's paranoid ideation and severe dissociative symptoms, mindfulness first. That's where we start. Talking about skills, building those skills, and making sure that those skills are there for him or her or they to utilize when they need it.